but with a special emphasis on safe migration and menstrual health. And for example, one of the things that we do each year is we present at the UN Commission on the Status of Women parallel NGO session. And we want to just say how grateful we are that you've tuned into this program. So I'm going to pass the mic over very shortly to our special guest, Erika Vega. But before I do, let me just say a few words about her. She is a feminist and a women's rights activist from Mexico, and she makes her home in Nagaland and Chennai, India. She's a Ph.D. candidate in social work at Loyola College, that's in Chennai in Tamil Nadu, and her research focuses on menstrual health, as you're just about to hear about. Her professional experience has been focused on research, training, and consulting in gender, peace building, and human rights, both in the public and the private sector. And Erika is going to tell us a little bit more about herself throughout her talk. So I'm going to make the introduction short and now pass the mic over to her.
Thank you so much. Wonderful introduction and your invitation to this wonderful group of women that all of them are working for women and with women. So as Bonnie was saying a bit, my name is Erika. I'm a Mexican living now in Chennai, the southern part of India, in Tamil Nadu. And well, I will be sharing a bit about my story, why I become interested in the area of menstruation, of the menstrual health. I came my first time to India in 2018 for a course by Initiatives of Change in Conflict Resolution and Peace Building in Maharashtra, is the west part of India. This course takes place like once in a year, and they select like leaders from around the world, like specific leaders that are focusing in certain topics, and they are like quite having an activist like name on the things. So during this course, as a part of this experience, they take us to a rural village. In this village, we experienced 3 to 4 days. But when I went to this community, I was having my period along with 3 other friends, one from Vietnam, one from the US, and one from Ukraine. So the 4 of us, we were separated from the rest of the group. We were a group around 30 people, where we were around 16 women and the rest were men. So the 4 of us, we were separated and sent it to another house. So we didn't understand why we got separated from the other group. And then we were having a special house where they told us this auntie, as they call it in India, to a person who is a part also of the family, and so she will be taking care of you, and your friends, and she will explain to you how to dispose the pads, where to keep it and things. So we were quite like feeling quite strange about that experience, because we said like, why? We don't need any special care. Everything is okay. We can manage. But we didn't know about the practices and the way that has to be disposed, and how is needed in the rural areas of India. So the way that we have to do it is like wrap it in a newspaper and then put it in a plastic bag, because the auntie will go in the night to bury it or to dispose it in an isolated place. Then for me was really shocking, that experience, because it was like, why she has to do that during the night, that nobody can see her, and like you're doing something bad, and it's just your menstrual pad, you can go and dispose it as normal it is, But then I couldn't understand the reasons, so I get a bit shocked and a bit annoyed about what that kind of experience, and also women were living that every day in India, So coming back from that experience, I decided I wanted to do something, but I also wanted to understand what is happening about the context of India. What is the discrimination against menstruators? What is this practice, and why she has to hide that? So that was really like into my interest, and then I decided to apply for a scholarship to do my Ph.D. studies here in India, and I got accepted in Loyola College in Chennai. Chennai is one of the biggest cities in India. No, it's the southern part of the country. And it was also facilitated for me to come to here through this course because one of the professors from this course was my guide. That is actually now my guide, Dr. Glaston Xavier. So through him, I got the facilities to come to India and to be here. Tamil Nadu, for me, it has been a big change, no, because it's a beach area, no, and it's really hot, really warm, but the food and people is really warm, and they are really warmly like people the whole time. So coming to India, I didn't have honestly too much knowledge about menstruation. No, I started researching when I did my starting proposal to get my scholarship. And then I was reading, starting to search, but I wanted to really understand the context of India and what are the practices that women were doing, what kind of products they were using. In the beginning, I brought some stock from Mexico. So I didn't experience how was the quality of the menstrual products in India. But when this stock finished, I started trying the disposable pads that normally are commercialized in India, the plastic ones. So I started experiencing itchiness, rashes, it was really uncomfortable. And also while going to college, when you go to the bathroom, most of the time the bathrooms are having the Indian toilets. These toilets are in the floor, or also Western toilets, like the toilets we have in the US or in the Americas. But normally they provide you with water and bucket. It's not a bean or paper or something to clean, as we do in the Western side. So for me, that was a bit difficult not to get it used to it, but I get used to that. The thing is, when you face that you are menstruating, when you are menstruated and you don't have the bean near to you and you don't have where to dispose it, even if you go out of the bathroom, it's not a bean near to you. So you have to carry the pad with you, in your clothes or something, till the moment you find where to dispose this pad. So that's one of the challenges that most of the women have, in colleges, in schools, and in government and public institutions. The other is sometimes there is not water and there is not bucket. So it's not a way how you can clean yourself after you go to the bathroom. So that's one of the main challenges. In rural areas, in some of the areas that I was visiting, the bathrooms don't have doors. So for girls or women, it's really difficult to go to the toilet, especially in those moments, because someone can come and things like that. So they feel really unsafe too. So for this, this came more my interest about why menstruation. I was really interested, what are the factors that are influencing in this? What are the practices? Because it's not only like the infrastructure that they don't have or the way that they dispose the products. It's also because I was hearing, I cannot do my prayers during my period. I cannot be near to the puja room. The puja room is this room where they keep their cats, and they keep a special praying room, and also in Islam or in Christians. So then I got more curious. So what are the other factors that are influencing in this? So then I start sharing and talking with other women and other friends, Indian friends, why you can do this, or why it's not allowed to do this. Then I start also hearing a lot of taboos and myths, about if you touch this plant or the plant will die, something like that. So I wanted to go deeper and deeper, and I also went into the menstrual health movement in India. I met one wonderful person. Her name is Rajasi Kulkarni. She's one of the activists in the menstrual health movement in India with the alternative products. So she introduced me how to use the room-school menstrual products and how good are for the body. And she introduced me how is you can reconnect with your own body, the importance to be in touch with your blood, to see it, to see what you are, how you are bleeding, and to be in touch in the moment that you watch your pad. This is also really difficult also in the moment that, for example, girls are starting to use reusable blood pads, because about the myths of the taboos that are around blood, about touching certain things. There are many beliefs that, for example, if the disposable pad is exposed, can get a snake can get blind or animals can get blind. No, but it's also part of the pollution. No, so maybe there is the right way that why the exposition of blood is bad for the environment. No, but not like it can get blind animals. So there is an explanation. No, but most of the times myths are just passing through generations without knowing the reason why was this happening. Okay, at the same time as the use of clothes, this practice was make it like a horrifying practice, like it was really unhygienic, and not usable. So there are some things that they just have to be in contact about how to keep it clean, how to keep it like dry in the sun, no? Because as blood is considered taboo, they cannot expose it directly, into the place that you hang normally clothes, Normally in India they have a specific place where they can hang the clothes and dry the clothes, but sometimes they don't do that and they hide those things. So that's when it becomes the consequences, and the unhygienic practices and infections like this. Okay. So my research is, the name of my research is, it's focused on the construction of the narratives on menstruation. And when I talk about narratives, I'm talking from this perspective, from the religion, from culture, from education, even from the stories that are sharing like generation through generation, and also the cultural practice and religion practices, and not only as you know, India, the majority of the people is Hindu, but there are also other religions like Sikh, Islam, Christianism, Sikhism. So there are also, I mentioned also, and I abhor about this, what are the practices in these areas. So can we get to this slides? So in my research, I decided to choose two organizations that were working with alternative menstrual products. And these organizations are located, one is in Trichy, is in the southern part of the state of Tamil Nadu. The name of this organization is Gramalaya. And the other organization, the name is Saki, and it's located in the northwest part of India, in Baladora, and the name is Saki. Gramalaya is an organization that is focused in water and sanitation, but also from the last 15 years have been focused in the area of menstrual health. They have been working in the southern states of India, but also in other, like starting to explore. So what they are doing with the menstrual health is introducing these reusable menstrual products like cloth pads, to women, but at the same time as the problem, as they have named it, as a problem, it's been, in India has been considered like, okay, we can resolve this problem through menstrual products, but that's not the only solution. The only solution is also think about the narratives, is talk about stigma, the shame, the taboos that surrounds all this topic of menstruation. So that's why I'm taking a holistic approach in that. Some of the tools that I applied during my research were in-depth interviews, life stories interviews, focus group guide, and observations guide. I interviewed around 86 women from both organizations, from both sides, from the southern part and from the northern part. And why I decided to do this study two different, like opposite sides, the reality and the context that has the northern part of the country is totally different to the southern part. Unfortunately, in the northern part, the investment in resources, in health, in women is really less compared to the southern part. The southern part, the money that is invested in health and infrastructure, in education is much more. So you can see a big difference, but also in the way of thinking, in the mindset. So there are many factors that also influence, and also something really interesting about these two organizations is the both of them, they are taking an approach not only with the menstrual product, they're also trying to work with the stigmatization of what is menstruation, no? Through games, through stories, through theater, and to books, no? Because it's a way that it can be assimilated, no, for women, girls, and even men, that are part of the community. So that's some of the things how it's been. No? So after this, I will share a bit about my fieldwork experience, and we can pass it next year. Okay, sorry. So after, sorry, I skipped this. So some of the tools that I shared, some of my research questions were, how have stigma and shame influenced menstruators' narratives about menstruation? What are the components that construct better menstrual health in menstruators in rural communities in India? And what are the characteristics that Ramalaya and Saki have used to promote menstrual health in rural communities? The first question about how shame and stigma has influenced in the narrative of menstruators is, and I'm going to go in a deeper way later, because it's still deeply rooted in the communities, despite the work that has been done for many organizations, and for women. There are certain things and taboos that it cannot remove it completely, to religion and cultural practices. So it's something that it will take time, but it's constructing, it's really getting into work. And when I mention about components that construct better health, I am blogging all about religion, infrastructure, education, environment, how much autonomy the women have about their body, how much they can decide about their own bodies. And the characteristics are exploring about what exactly these organizations are doing, what is the impact that it's producing in the communities, in the women and menstruators. Thank you. So then I spent in these two organizations in Ramalaya in Trichy, that is part of Tamil Nadu. I spent around 3 weeks in this organization. I was working in the area of Purokotai and some villages around this area. Purokotai is really known because of the cashews. Have you heard about cashews? These farms? Well, most of the people from this area, they work in this field, and most of them fingers and the nails are gone because they do everything manually. So most of the people in this area of Purokotai, the main work is the cashew plantation and collection and peeling and everything and selling. So it's really interesting. It's a really diverse area because you can find Muslim, you can find Hindus, you can have Christians. There is a really diverse group, and the organization they approach to everyone. They don't do differences among religion, among caste, among social class, because in India, apart from the social classes, exists a system of castes. Unfortunately, this is still really present, even is prohibited by the constitution. When you go to the places, when you are in the school, when you are in the villages, you see how the system works. Not maybe mentioning, but you know how it works. Even, for example, in the place that they are located is how much they receive the water, how often they receive the water, how often they receive the basic resources, electricity, influence a lot this caste system. So Ramalaya is an organization founded since 1987. They have been working for more than 30 years in the area of water and sanitation. And the last 15 years, they have been focused in the area of menstrual health. One of the main things that they have is they have a holistic approach where they don't only, as I was mentioning, they don't focus only in the menstrual growth, they also focus in the education, but they also approach in the part of sanitation. Many of these areas, they didn't have a proper system of to defecate, so they have to defecate and urinate in the open areas. So most of the women, sometimes they were exposed, to be raped or exposed to get banged by the snakes, because they have to go in and out of things. Normally they go by groups, they don't go alone. or if it's the grandmother, she goes to the grandchildren's now, but that takes time, and also it's quite dangerous because sometimes they have to cross the road to go in an isolated place. So these kind of challenges are the challenges that they were having in the beginning, and this organization is helping them to build up this. Some of the other challenges is the malnutrition that they have. Most of the girls, they don't have regular periods, they have irregular periods. And one of the reasons is the food that they consume. The salaries are really low, and also sometimes when they get sick, the doctor is too far, they don't have the money or the resources to go. They have some health centers that they call it Anganwadi centers. In these centers, they can provide the basic health, the basic medicine, but not when it's something, an emergency or a surgery. So this is around in big areas now how Gramalaya works. Then we can continue with Saki. Saki is an initiative that is part of a foundation. The founder is a woman. And she has a really feminist perspective. When she started this initiative, the first thing that she was seeing, because she works especially with indigenous groups, with Muslims and with widows. So those are the three most vulnerable groups in India, because the widows normally have been rejected or are considered as a bad luck. Not much now in big cities, but in rural areas still really present that. So she works mainly with widows, with Muslim women, and with indigenous women. That indigenous women in India are called Adivasis, according to the caste system. But coming from a Mexican culture as my context, for us, the indigenous groups are the most important and are the ones who are giving the meaning to your culture, to your context. So we name them as original groups or indigenous groups. We don't classify in this aspect now. So for me, I will be speaking as them and I'm referring to them as indigenous people and it's the indigenous women. So she has a system. If we can change the slide so they can, okay. There were some pictures from Gramalaya and Gramalaya, yeah. In the right side, you can see there is a group of women. Those women, they work in the Gandhi program. It's a rural program designed by the government of India, who helps women that are from low resources, and they don't have any other income. They can work for the government, doing like cleaning the side roads or doing just specific things that they get a salary per month. But the bad part of this kind of works, especially in this area, is the women where they're cleaning the side roads. They don't have any facilities around. There is not water. There is not, forget about toilet, So when they're menstruating, it's really difficult for them to manage. They have to wait after 8 to 10 hours because they work for 8 hours, but then they have to walk to their homes around 1 hour and a half to 2 hours. So in this time, it's already 10 hours that they are staying with the cloth pad, or with the pad. So that is not good for them, and to keep it for that much of hours is what is bringing also the disease. So it doesn't matter if they are using the disposable pads or the cloth pads. The problem is the longer periods of usage. And when I was doing the interviews in this area, in this specific program, one of the women was, I was interviewing this woman and I was asking her, like, what are the major challenges when you are menstruating and you are working in these kind of areas? For her, it was not difficult to be working in the open and don't have the water to clean herself when she goes to the toilet. The difficult part was at home. Because even when she was menstruating, sometimes her husband come and he wanted to have sex. And if she didn't want, he just forced her to use his penis and like that. And then she told me then we don't have water at home. So it's really difficult for me, to clean myself, even I'm feeling already like I'm clean, or dirty. And then after having sex. And then this is really one of the most impactful experience for me, because coming from Mexico and coming from, we can say, Western countries where we have a different ideology, about, we are having different discussions about menstruation and sex, and we discuss about, why not, and what is the problem. But when you come to context, like Indian context and in the rural areas, you see that it's not the same, and being menstruating and being in your period can save you or can avoid to have sex with your husband, and that's really a relief to them. So it's also the understanding of the context and the importance, to see how they feel and the kind of experiences that they face during menstruation. It's not only about the menstrual products or things, it's also as a woman what they are facing. Sometimes they don't have anyone. This woman was sharing with me, I can't do anything. My grandma lived like that. My mother lived like that. I cannot change this. So that's the sad part. That's what makes you feel important and like why you cannot help to change this. So yeah, this was one of the stories from the area of Kudakotai. And then when it comes to Saki, what I was sharing, this organization, the work they are doing unconsciously, they are doing beautiful work, because in Gujarat, there was a huge problem and a huge conflict between Muslims and Hindus. And this lady decided to put, starting to work in the area where this conflict was happening. So like indirectly, she was working now, like bringing a bit of peace between these two communities, and at the same time making women to understand each other. So the way that the method that she uses in Saki is like, she works with biodegradable pads. These pads are made of banana leaves, and she also has built an incinerator, which they can put the pads and then with a smudge, just burn it. But this doesn't produce soil pollution as other incinerators. There are other incinerators that are electrical, that they require certain bioxide and certain chemicals to really work. So they have to use a technology that also doesn't contaminate. Or even if these pads are buried, one thing that I have to explain is it's a practice that is really common in India is buried. Buried is like underground. They make a hole in an isolated land, they can bury it there, and they bury it also garbage, So they do a hole, then they put the garbage, and then they cover it, So these pads can be buried, but they could be, biodegradable total. In 3 months, they will be totally part of the soil. So it won't be a problem. And because of the women are used to buy, the products, so it's practice that also she promote. Like it's okay, if you don't have the incinerator, you can bury it into your home, or dispose it, in the normal ways. And she has been working in many states of India, like Gujarat, Kerala, Manipur, Tamil Nadu, and also outside of India, in Cameroon, Zimbabwe, Bhutan. So what she does is she teaches the women, she trains the women how to make these pads. And in the way of process and to do how to make it, what they create is a group of women, where they were 4 to 10 women, So these 4 to 10 women, they create units. They call it Saki units. So the Saki unit is a kind of group of women that they produce these pads, and they sell it to their own community or their friends or whatever. So at the same time that they are producing these biodegradable pads, they are also promoting economic empowerment, because most of these women, they didn't have employment, So they're having an extra income, and that makes them feel really proud and really happy about it when I was asking them, how do you feel now to getting your own incomes, to getting your own money? They were like, I'm feeling so happy. I can buy whatever I want, and I can buy things for my children. That's something really important. One of my experiences in this organization was one of the most beautiful, I think, was with a group of Muslim women, and they had a unit, a Saki unit in the town. Some were sisters, some were relatives, and some were family of friends. And they had the unit in a small shop where they sell also the traditional clothes. And one of them was sharing with me that with the money that she was getting from the unit, she was able to pay the lesson class for her children. Now, because she said before this, we were really like adjusted to the budget that we have. So it was not possible to pay extra classes for my child. And the other is like, sometimes when my friends or my sister comes here to produce the pads, we share about how you feeling, how is the situation at home. So these units also generate this kind of safe spaces for women indirectly, and that is really important. And in these kind of spaces are so needed, because most of them, they are not heard, they are not listening like what is happening with their lives, how they are feeling. So these kind of practices are really making a change and a difference on this. Okay, so these are some of the photos in the right side. And on the left side, we can see a woman that is a unit, there's a small unit that is it's located outside of the house. They just put some roof on things and they install the machines. They are training how to start the machines. And they go in the times that they have free, to 1 hour, 2 hours, and they go just when they want, and they receive also, according with the sellings. And in the other photo is her founder, Svati is her name, and we went to give a talk in a high school with girls. So she was talking about periods. She was talking about also about like what kind of menstrual products they know, because Saki also does menstrual cups. And so the importance of this is that they inform them, what are the varieties of menstrual products and what are the contents of the menstrual products. So you decide what you want to use, you decide which one is more convenient for you. So that's what menstruators really need. They don't need the imposition of one specific product. What they need is to be informed, to know about what is in which product, also how they feel. They just be empowered about their own bodies and about the decision making that they are doing. Well, through this journey as a researcher, to be a researcher is, I can say, a really lonely journey, because I came as a woman, as a Mexican, as a feminist. Feminism in India is not too open yet, to acknowledge yourself as a feminist. It's quite risky and not well seen. In certain areas it's okay. Southern part it's really open. I can say it's a space where I can share my ideas. I can write whatever I want. But there are other spaces that you have to care about what you're saying, what you're writing. Being a woman also about which is your place, how things are done here and how are done in my country. In my country, I'm used to get everything done by myself, and living alone and things like that. And in India, it's like sometimes I have to go with a male friend, to help me to sort out certain things, because sometimes it's just not possible. They don't pay the attention. They don't give you the attention that you need, because it's a woman. And then when they see what I'm doing or what I'm talking about, menstruation is like these things, foreigners. Being a foreigner is something not easy in India. They will question everything. Why? Why are you doing this research? Why someone that is not Indian is coming here to tell me what to do? But when they see that I didn't came here to tell them what to do, it's totally opposite. It was to understand the context, now what they are doing. And I'm really amazed about the practices that they have, what the new technologies that they are producing, about reusable menstrual products, and the way that it has been approaching in certain areas, and how it can be like recovering, all this wisdom from villages that had been taken away, for the imposition of certain menstrual products. It's like, yeah, your knowledge, your wisdom is also valuable, So I'm having this critical view, also to these impositions or ideologies that have been imposed from the last 15 years in India, and so it's really interesting when they see me and when I'm sharing about why I'm interested in this topic, and the importance and the relevance that some organizations are doing in India for women and for menstrual health. And the methodology is also one of the challenges, because when you are a feminist and when you have a feminist perspective, in the way that you write, you are putting yourself as a part of the research. You are giving voice also. Your voice is counted in the narration of your thesis. That here is not possible. You have to write in third person, But at least two narratives and the narration of the stories, of the women that I have been interviewing, of the girls, those voices that have been unheard, it will be heard and write it in this thesis. I'm a bit disappointed about not being able to write as a feminist thesis, but it's something that I know it will take time, and it's opening, So I hope for future generations they will be able to do it. So some of the findings and conclusions after my research is because most of the women and the girls that I interviewed, before they were using disposable pads, and some of them they were using normal cotton cloth. They just buy the fabric of cotton or some. They use sometimes also saris, but cotton saris that are quite cold. So they use that as a product to hold the blood. So the thing is that most of the girls, when they start using the disposable pads, because others were using it, it's the influence that other has, the narrative that is also managed inside of the communities, but also the way that the marketing is being used, into the mindset of the women and the girls. Like, this product is the best. You don't have any other option. You have to remove from your old products now and use this, because there is not another way. This will save you from leakage, from things. And one of the main fears of girls is leak at school. Because what if the product is not enough thick, or if it doesn't hold completely the blood for so many hours? That is one of the major stress and cause a lot of anxiety in girls and women. Like, if the product doesn't last for the period of time that they will be outside, the leakage. Many women and girls, they don't know how to dispose of menstrual products. Many of them, they wash them in the disposable pads and then they throw it, because of this taboo and stigma about the blood. If it's in the blood, but then the exposition of the blood, we can understand. It can contaminate the water, or even in India, the people who is in charge of the waste and disposal in India, most of the time they don't use any protection, any mask or needles. So they have to collect the garbage and they have to segregate it by their own selves with their hands. So of course, having the contact with menstrual drugs or with medical products or food, they get also, there are many diseases, that they mainly is hepatitis, that the pig collectors or the people who is working in the waste and disposal are getting sick. So most of the girls and women, they prefer not going to public bathrooms. And why? Because most of the public bathrooms, they don't have water and they don't have doors, no. Some of the toilets are breaking, no, completely. So they prefer to wait till home, no, and go home. And some areas, especially, for example, where Grandma Laya is working, the toilets are really good because they have installed the toilets. They have installed according with in the Indian way, you know, so the people can feel comfortable on it. So then they use the use of disposable pads in girls and women for menstruators, as I was sharing with you, there was for more than 8 to 10 hours. And even the clothes, when they are working outside, they keep using it for longer periods. Some of the narratives on menstruation, like women and girls, felt discriminated for being a menstruator. Like, for example, when I was asking them, what are the things that you want to do, but you can't when you are having your period? And one girl was sharing with me, like once was the Ganesh festival. Ganesh is one of the girls of the elephant girl. And we were hosting that festivity at home. But my mom didn't allow me to go outside because I was having my period. And I didn't want, I really want to be there. So these things really make them feel like sad, like why I have to be apart or isolated just because I'm having my period. Or the puja room, in the case of the Muslim women, I want to pray, I can. Some of them they can't. They can cook, they can do certain things, but some touch the Quran, no. And but yeah. So menstruation as a word, when I was asking them, what means for you menstruation? What means for you having your period? They were just getting shy, nervous, or laughing among themselves. And most of them, even the women, they do the sign with the head. They incline the head. Yeah, shame of a stigma attached on that. But then having this kind of conversations with them, they really talk about it, and they say we feel okay, we feel good, if we share about this, with you, it's okay, and we see that it doesn't happen, and we can ask you also. Even some of them, they were asking me, it is okay if I have my period for more than 10 days, or it is okay. So I was dreaming, okay, I'm not a doctor. In certain cases, you have to go and see the doctor. I'm just a researcher on this topic, but they get so confident and relaxed that they started asking many questions. They said, yeah, okay. So that kind of is one of my bets for this research, and one of my suggestions, and that it's so important to create safe spaces for women to share about menstruation, because these really help and they feel really relieved. In one of the workshops that I did for them, one woman was telling me, it's been 20 years that nobody asked me, how do I feel? No, they just ask me about if lunch is ready, if things are set out, and things like that. So that really moves me, and also like, yeah, these kind of things are really needed. Sometimes we take it maybe for granted, or according with our possibilities, maybe for us it's more accessible. But for certain women that they work the whole time, it's really difficult to have those kind of spaces, where they can share and feel comfortable and someone is listening to them. So the conclusions are, India has been taking menstruation as a problem, as I was sharing, that has to be solved through menstrual products. They have installed many vending machines, even in the metro, in schools and things, but they are not checking the quality of the products. How many hours these products can last in the body of a woman. Many girls were saying, yeah, we can take these 3 products, but these products, they last not more than 4 hours because they are really thin, so they start leaking. So it's really important to check the quality, and the things. It is okay, but also it matters because the girls, sometimes they cannot go and change that, So going to, so it's the problem is not the only the menstrual product, it's going also to the roots, implies to question certain religious practices. But for India, where religion and politics and society intersect closely, it's really difficult. It's really difficult to separate those things. One of the initiatives of this is starting talking about, I was sharing, start talking about taboos, about what are your practices, how you feel at home, or what you do normally, or tell me something that makes you feel good during these days, and that will start feeling this. Then we have about stigma and shame, despite that, and even this organization have been working for more than 15 years with them, still really on them. It's really present. It's really alive them now, because they know now what kind of products they can use, how to manage it with that. They can talk about all these practices, but despite of that, I know it's not right. I cannot sleep in my room. I have to keep sleeping outside, or I have to stay being separated during these days. Some of the girls, they were sharing, I cannot come inside of my house during 5 days. I have to stay away from them. So they keep a special place for her. Within the house sometimes, and sometimes outside in the veranda. They have a kind of in the entrance with a roof. So they put a kind of mattress, a small mattress where they can lie down and they can stay there. But sometimes, they are exposed to many things. And also the infrastructure is another really important factor in the communities and in the schools. The lack of basic services like water and education in schools for boys and girls. So the stigmatization of menstruation implies working with mental health. As I was sharing, in the moment that they feel comfortable, that they feel in confidence, they start talking about it. And that is a huge relief for them, because all that stress, all that burden that they're carrying off for the domestic work they're doing also, it's like going out. So yeah, thank you so much. So if you have any questions, doubts, I will be happy.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted to see your face again. I apologize. If you had any further comments, I was just bringing it back away from the slide. And we have some comments in the chat. Go ahead, Jerry.
Okay, Erika, I was just, I wanted to ask you, and this is thinking of some of my experience maybe 40, 50 years ago. How prevalent was it in your two experiences in those places to find that women were segregated to a separate room? Because, and again, so many of these things I found were located in one region of India and not another. So I just wonder, and many people, this is some of the things that I experienced maybe 40 or 50 years ago that I don't think are always practiced. So how common was it to find women segregated to a separate room during menstruation?
I found it more deeply in Gujarat. The religious practice is more stronger than in Tamil Nadu. But in Tamil Nadu, in this area, some girls, they still sleep in the same house, but in a different area. They show me the area. It's totally roofed and everything. It's just separated from the area that the others sleep. But now they can eat with them. They can use the same utensils in the south. In the northern part, many girls were sharing with me that they were not allowed to use the same bathroom, the same toilet area. So they have to go and urine or defecate in open areas. I found it more strongly in the north. Yeah.
Just one clarification. You keep saying the north, but what you really mean is Gujarat, right? Which is West India. Yeah. So we often think that there's great differences between what happens in UP, what happens in Northeast and Northwest. You're talking about really not North, you're talking about Gujarat, right? So so I think that's Western India, I think generally for many of us. And so just, you don't mean North India. I just wanted to clarify. You mean Gujarat, right?
Northwest, and also this area is really near to the Rajasthan area. So those areas, the border also, she works. So the desert areas are those areas where I'm talking about. And because also Hinduism is bigger and is strong. I mean, most of the population is Hindu. So that influences also.
Hi, I had a quick question. Hi, Erica. Thank you so much for sharing your research. One question that I did have a little bit more about was the menstrual cups. And I was wondering if you saw any intrigue in using menstrual cups, as it would be, better in terms of the rashes and the itching and wearing for long periods of time? Or do you find that that's still stigmatized with the whole idea of it? A lot of people believe it breaks the hymen, or, it makes, girls impure, so on and so forth.
In the case of Saki, they produce the menstrual cup and they inform about the menstrual cup and they offer the menstrual cup to try, But it's something that they feel a bit afraid about it, And it's explained, how to use it and everything. But also in the way that they have to use wherever they feel comfortable. Then after some time, maybe they can try. But I'm not agreed to introduce it as a first menstrual product, the menstrual cup with them, because it's quite really strange product for them. So if they start with a pad, with a cloth pad, and then they can, when they feel more confident about their body, when they feel more, okay, I think I'm ready, I can try it, they will try it. So of course, it's still present, that stigma that if I insert that, my virginity will be gone. But this is explained, no, this don't happen. But of course, it's still that, like, I don't believe you. I think it's not happening. So yeah, the use of menstrual cup is not much in rural areas. Yeah. So, but they are really happy using the pads. They feel comfortable. I mean, and personally, I am using also the same menstrual, the reusable pads. They're really comfortable.
So I noticed that Swapna was inviting you to respond a little bit to the idea of class and community and caste. And so maybe you could say a few words about that. And also maybe to what degree your mentors are encouraging you to make the connections with class and caste.
Yeah, the importance of class and caste in my research also, and in India, it's really relevant, because also it talks about the distribution of the access and agency that people can have. For example, in certain area, for example, in this area of Kurukutai, there was one person that was kind of, come now the word to me, that it was a kind of person who has a lot of land there. So most of the people were working for him. But the organization was working for this village to try to install some pipes that the water can reach to the village, because most of the women, they have to walk around 2 to 3 kilometers to get the main tom of the water, and then carry home the water, because those communities are considered like lower caste or unprivileged communities. So the access of water is really difficult. Some of them, they were telling me, we get the water once a week or twice a week, and in summer it's really difficult to manage, because we, especially in the south, we get 40 degrees, 45 degrees. And sometimes it's really difficult to manage, and they have to manage with 5 liters of water. So also the organization has teaching how to save as much possible as water when they are using the cloth pads, not because they have to wash it with water. So they can just wash it with 1 liter and then keep it. Yeah. So
Thank you. More questions from our audience? Or
Thank you, Erica, for a great presentation.
getting vaccinated.
We've got 2 minutes left before time. So if anyone has any other thoughts.
I just wondered whether Erika could, because I wasn't quite sure when she did this research, and if she could maybe say something about what happened during COVID, because she was talking about Saki and about distributing menstrual pads and so on and so on. And in our sort of surveys of what was going on with NGOs, many of them weren't fully operating during COVID. So I wonder if you could just comment on what happened during COVID. And whether this research was done during COVID, after, before. I didn't quite understand that. Yes.
So my research was doing during COVID, but the second stage, because India totally closed everything in 2019, 2020 was fully, you cannot go, even I was not able to go like from my block of the house. So after they released some things and you were able to travel and I had the vaccines, I was able to travel. And of course, that's why also I didn't have a big sample, because of the limitation of the safety also to have the interviews and also the safety of the women. The distribution of pads, of course, was reduced, but some of the women that they were having these units, they have some stock on it. So they were given to the people that they knew it. Some of them, they told me that they were really struggling because they didn't have pads. The shops were closed. So they start using the clothes, all clothes and things, just washing it properly and using it, because everything was closed. So they didn't have something to bleed. So they start using again the cotton clothes, any clothes that were cotton, but just washing it properly, and cleaning it good, and they were using that. In the case of Gram Malaya, because they worked some programs with the government, they were allowed to distribute like emergency kits. And even the government of Tamil Nadu, they were distributing the emergency kits, and part of this kit was menstrual pads on it.
Well, in terms of time, we need to close up the program officially. If anyone wants to stay on and ask a question or two, or send me a note that I can pass on to Erika, I'd be very happy to. I'm putting my email in the chat. I want to thank everybody for coming. Really, really appreciate your time. Also, Erika, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with us. I will be presenting you with a gift on behalf of WFC, but I look forward to doing that in person in Chennai this August, since I can't hand it to you through the screen. Really do appreciate everyone for being here. And if I could just request Jerry and Erika and I to stay on after folks depart. Thank you. You're getting lots of thank yous in the chat. You can go ahead and check out the chat now, Erika, if you haven't had a chance to yet. Got some comments in there for you. Yeah, I wanted to make sure that you got a chance, Erika, to see all the wonderful comments in the chat, since obviously when you're presenting, it's impossible to keep up with everything. Really appreciate the ways you were able to elaborate, particularly through the voices of the women themselves, and to illuminate many different aspects of this discussion that I think a lot of people who hadn't looked into it before, for instance, might not think about the connection with mental health or with safe spaces for women. Some of the infrastructural problems they could have maybe read about in a newspaper article without being able to get some of the texture behind what you were saying. So really appreciate that. Anyone else who's still staying on the call have any questions or comments? Looks like we might have one coming in. feel free to ask your question, the person who is at Redmead 9 Power, who just unmuted.
Hello? Okay, I don't know.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording if that's okay.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.